morning. It's Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Thank goodness we got the politicians down until next November.
But to all of them, congratulations to the winners. And to those who didn't win, don't think of it as anybody being against you.
Well,
think of it that they were for somebody else. I know this is not politically correct, but I do hate to see somebody lose.
Yes, but that happens in basketball games too. There are winners and there are losers.
You want to believe it. And who's the winner?
Yeah, well, kudos to the Railers. We're going to Peoria, one of the top 4 teams in the state. The worst we can come out here is 4th in the state. And I don't think we'll do that. I think we'll do better. So congratulations to those. While we're at it with the kudos, we can give the kudos to the victors. Very candidly, and I'll come up with my opening quote here in a minute. Very candidly, I think I was surprised at the strength of Steve's victory. I thought that race in the sheriff's office would be closer. I would only comment, and what do I know? I thought it was going to be closer, so look how it was. But I would think, my opinion, as Judy and I were talking, Jim and Annette coming up here this morning, is that that was all a pro-Steve Nichols vote as opposed to any anti-Mike votes. Would be my take on that. That just shows that the people felt that our sheriff has done a fine job, and I don't think anybody else was going to beat him, no matter who the candidate was. So Mike did a great job, and he's a great police officer, so we commend him for putting his stuff on the line. This does not apply to local candidates. Aesop, remember Aesop Fables?
Yeah, he lived right down the street.
Sam Aesop, this was.
Oh.
You don't know, you're thinking about Henry. Anyway, old Sam said, "We hang the petty thieves and appoint the great ones to political office." Well, in some measure, that has proven true. Not here in Logan County.
Oh.
We don't appoint the petty ones.
At the state level, though, we seem
at the state level, we've done a remarkably good job of that. And at the national level, it's a travesty. By the way, I think it's a travesty that we only had 27%. Now here we have a very, very hotly contested local race in the county sheriff's office. Less than 30% of the voters turn out on an important election. I just do not understand that, Judith.
Well, people came in yesterday to vote, and they were lamenting the fact that they had to reveal the party of their preference. People just don't like that. But I can't imagine a time when Illinois will have an open primary. I know when I moved here, the first time I went to vote, they said, "Well, which ballot do you want?" And I thought, well, the one on the top's good by me. You don't have to dig through the pile for me. Because I'd come from a place where we had an open primary. So they looked at me with this deer in the headlights look, and finally the lady said, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" And I thought, well,
what's your business?
What does she care? So anyway, I learned. That's how I learned.
Yeah. Well, we'll not see an open primary here in this state. That's just the way it is. Things are pretty well lined up there in Chicago. You know, start getting north of I-80, things get a little different than we know them to be down here. Okay, we have an important subject this morning, particularly in view of the fact that it's a nationwide issue, and I'm going to ask you to make a formal introduction of our guest this morning, and then we're going to talk about gun control.
I would like that. Annette Chapman has the Pistol Prep Academy in Atlanta, and what she does is train people, because they have to be trained in order to qualify for this concealed carry. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit controversial, not the Pistol Prep Academy, but the idea itself. Mm-hmm. And I'd just like to start, if you would, by kind of explaining the layout of the law that's allowing this.
I'd like to mention before Annette comes on is that at the risk of sexual harassment charges, I did pat her down and make sure she's not carrying this morning. So. that she's not carrying today.
Well, that's right,
That
Bill.
he knows of. He
That
didn't
he
pat me
knows
down everywhere.
Not very well. Huh? Well, Illinois has concealed carry, and the people have to qualify. You have to start with a FOID card, right?
Correct.
And from there, you what?
Judith, I think maybe we ought to tell folks what a FOID card is. Maybe, seriously, there might be some folks out there with their head in the sand that don't really know because they don't give a tinkers. You know, it's not, they're not involved with that. And so why should they know about a FOID card? So go ahead, Annette, if you tell them what a FOID card is to start with.
Well, Illinois is the only state in the union that requires a person to have a firearms owner identification card in order to purchase a firearm or any ammunition. And so that's basically what it is. You have to fill out the application, send it to the state police with a photo and a $10 application fee. And then you're able to own and purchase firearms and ammunition. If you decide then that you want to concealed carry, there is a requirement, a training requirement that comes along with that. So not only do you need to possess that FOID card, because you can't bring your gun to training class without a FOID card, and you couldn't buy it without a FOID card. So then there's a 16-hour training requirement. Some people get prior training credit depending on if they've taken a concealed carry class in some approved states, or if they've already had the basic NRA pistol class, or if they are a member of the military or a veteran, have status and have a DD-214, or a former or current law enforcement officer.
So firearms owner's identification is what we're talking about with the FOID card. I have one only because I've had guns for forever. Frankly, don't even know. Yes, I do know where it is. Don't feel a need to worry with it because I don't. My guns haven't been out of the closet for years. So, but
We should fix that.
which brings to a point. Owners who have guns, particularly those with children in the house, just be very, very aware of where those guns are and make sure that they can't be accessed.
Definitely, and that is a topic of discussion in our class as part of our curriculum, is the storage of your firearm in your home. And all the time you want to make sure that it's inaccessible to unauthorized people, and those children would be considered unauthorized unless they are being supervised or properly trained.
And trigger locks are available.
They are.
I believe our sheriff indicated that if I needed one, me or anybody else could go up to the office and get a trigger lock for their firearms.
Yes, I also
which I think is an absolute requisite. If you have firearms in the house, you ought to have that.
One of the criticisms I've heard of the whole gamut of firearms is that there doesn't seem to be any connectivity between agencies, so that we here in Logan County, for instance, might know who has FOID cards and who has passed the required sessions of learning about the concealed carry. But they don't know in Massachusetts that anybody has done this. There's no nationwide way of tracking who is getting firearms where, and whether or not they should be.
And so why do we need to know that?
Well, because I think that it would be kind of sad if somebody was having a heck of a problem here in Illinois and went to Michigan and bought firearms. And they weren't this sort of person who could. Maybe they get in a lot of bar fights or something, and instead of poking somebody in the nose, they're going to shoot them.
Well, I think the bottom line on acquisition of weapons is, we've got a lot of gun laws in this country, a lot of guns in this state. We've got a lot of gun laws. The bad guy's going to get a gun, notwithstanding whatever the law says.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the bottom line to
If
me.
you check statistics, you'll find that the majority of the firearms used to commit crimes are stolen.
Yes, I've heard that. I have heard that.
Well, specifically, let's tell us about the Pistol Prep Academy. And what do you do up there? Do you prep pistols?
Prep pistols. Well, Pistol Prep Academy started out just as the NRA basic pistol class. That was what I started with. It started as a hobby, something fun to do, something that I care a lot about and enjoy a great deal. So I thought that I would start to help train other people in the safe handling of firearms. And then along came the Concealed Carry Act. And I thought, well, I would like to get in on that, but I was going to need some help.
You put your headset on, young lady. We have a caller, please.
Okay.
I'm going to say, go ahead, caller.
Hey, good morning, Bill and Judy. It's Sheriff Nichols.
Yeah, good morning, son. Congratulations to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, and I just wanted to call and thank the voters of Logan County for giving me another opportunity to serve the next 4 years. I know the general's not here yet, but after last night's vote, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody and thank you guys for your program and what you did for me.
Well, I want to tell you, the voters were obviously very impressed with the job you've done for us. It's on record now, just exactly what they think of in Logan County, so you can feel very, very good about that, Sheriff.
Well, I do. I mean, there's times you question yourself and what you do, but last night's vote has given me the confidence that we're doing the right things over here at the Sheriff's Office.
Well, it shows you I'm not very good prognosticator, because I thought it'd be a lot closer than it is, Steve.
So, well, I didn't know either, but I think last night pretty well showed us where we're at.
That's exactly right. You can feel very, very good about it. I appreciate the call. We appreciate the call, sir.
Bless you, Steve. Have a good day.
Thanks, Judy. You guys take care.
All right. Thank you, Sheriff.
Bye-bye.
Sheriff Steve Nichols, the winner of yesterday's primary.
Nice man.
Without much of a problem, by the way. Gun control, back here to the Pistol Prep Academy. At what age did you start showing an interest in firearms, young lady? I have to say that you kind of break out of the mold there a little bit.
Well, I grew up in a family of hunters, and I took my first firearm safety class when I was in 3rd grade.
Is that right?
And later that year, was able to qualify to go to a state competition. It was just BB guns, but I beat out most of the people in my age group and was able to go and compete at the state level. So that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
And just, we were deer hunters and rabbit and squirrel and pheasant and dove and the whole gamut.
Whatever season was in. Huh?
Whatever season was in, absolutely.
Now, Pistol Prep Academy is, let's just take it from, as they say in the show business, take it from the top, is located exactly where in Atlanta?
Our headquarters office is 114 Southwest Arch Street, which many people know as Bill Thomas's building there across from Mattingly's Automotive. We're upstairs. I have my office up there, and we've set up a classroom. And then until the new range in Atlanta gets completed, we've been renting space out at Big Oak Hunting Paradise. Wayne Conrady's been renting us his space out there, and that's where we hold our classes until this range is done in Atlanta.
So you will have a firing range north of Atlanta. And
Correct.
I believe you said something in the neighborhood of somewhere around North Greens there.
Yes. Yep. The city, Jim Penny, chief of police, was already kind of looking at the development of a range for the police department to be able to use and to lease out to the other municipalities and governing bodies that have police departments that need to qualify. So when I set up shop in town, we just started talking through some things, and the mayor was very good to work with and finding a way for me to be able to lease that space and accommodate in our needs, which really it's just distances and some signage. And so we've had kind of a collaborative effort in the development of that thing. So as soon as the ground thaws out enough and they're able to start moving dirt, we'll get it done.
That could be a couple weeks.
It could be.
It could be.
Now, your instructions range from pistols to rifles.
We don't do rifles yet.
All handguns at this point in time.
Yes, at this time. Once the range is complete in Atlanta, one of the additional offerings that we'll have are some evening shooting clinics, and we're hoping to develop some kind kind of basic rifle for beginners that we could do in an evening workshop. I know there's a lot of people that have bought the ARs over the last year and maybe don't know a lot about them, so we're going to put together some additional training that will encompass that as well.
The courses that you list are the NRA Basic Pistol and NRA Personal Protection in the Home.
Yes.
And outside the home as well, and then Refuse to be a Victim. What does that involve?
The Refuse to be a Victim training actually is not firearms training. It is actually a proactive, some proactive training to avoid dangerous situations, how to make your home and yourself safer, your family safer, to avoid those potential encounters.
Years ago, a state policeman was giving tips to keep ourselves more safe. And one was, he said, don't put Susie on your license plate.
Right.
Just go with the numbers or something, because some bad guy would know that was a woman.
Right.
And put a man's golf
makes
cap
sense.
in the back shelf of your car. And people won't think maybe it's a lone woman at the mall.
Right.
Or something. And some of those were really good tips.
You paid attention, didn't you?
I did. Well, that was when I was younger and more able to do so. And I that must be part of what you're doing here.
Yes, that's the kind of thing that we talk about. Also, when you get in your car after you put your groceries in, don't sit there and get on your phone with your doors unlocked, because suddenly you're not alert to your surroundings and it makes you a target. So yes, it's the full seminar is a 3 to 4 hour seminar, but it can be tailored to specific groups of people. I did one in Atlanta for the moms of preschoolers, so it was specific to parents of small children and how they can better keep themselves safe and keep their children safe. We also can do specifically for a corporate, like do a corporate lunch hour and target specifically those folks. We can do them also for senior citizens. So I would also like to start branching into universities and colleges and offering those seminars for the young folks who find themselves sometimes not
Walking
knowing.
across the quad in the middle of the
just
night.
some things that they can do to keep themselves a little bit safer on campus.
Now, in order to do this, and you have to have your own qualification. You can't just hang a shingle out and say, I'm going to teach you how to handle guns.
Right.
You have to be licensed to do that.
Absolutely.
And that is through which department?
Well, my training has come from the NRA, and then to be certified to teach the concealed carry, that must go through the Illinois State Police.
Okay. I wanted to make sure to identify the authority to which you answer, and that's the Illinois State Police.
Yes, it is.
You know, go ahead, Judith. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it was one of our candidates for sheriff who mentioned that they thought it might not be a bad idea for people who will be going with the concealed carry to qualify annually instead of, what is it, every 5 years?
It's every 5 years right now.
Yes, How do you feel about that?
Well, you get into the constitutional right and, is it your right to carry? Is it your right to own a firearm? And where does that line come in? I don't think it's wrong. We always encourage our students to continue their training, whether they come back and take another class or workshop with us, if they just want to go to the range, but they should spend time shooting at least monthly. They have to stay proficient. They have to continue to train to be able to responsibly carry that firearm and use it in a defensive manner. So qualifying annually, I don't know. I mean, I just think they need to be able to continue training.
Well, I don't think I don't think it's incumbent upon us to just think that just because we qualify once, I don't think that's enough.
Right.
I think there needs to be requalification.
Yeah.
People get older, you may have noticed, and we lose some skills. And at some point in time, maybe if I've had a firearms permit to carry. Maybe I'm not as sharp as I was last year.
Right.
So it's cut off. We're going to have to cut ourselves off, by the way, in
Okay.
just a minute for some commercials. Then we're going to come right back. And first thing we want to do when we get back, young lady, is take the first day in class as Judith and I sign up and what we're going to learn the first day.
Okay.
Go right ahead, sir. Right back live in the studio here, the WLCN High on the Hill on Lazy Road, 96.3, 648-5510. We're talking about a very, very interesting and a very serious matter, and that is gun control. The great right to bear arms. Talking with Annette Chapman, Pistol Prep Academy, and she will tell us how you should bear your arms if you have that right to carry. Let's say Judy and I come in for the first course, for the first class. Let's take it from the top, as they say.
Well, on the day one, we start out with how the guns work, how to handle them safely. Safety is always a priority, to the point where I've hired 8 other people to work with me, because when we actually go to the firing range, I never have more than 2 students per 1 instructor, because safety is such a priority. So we stress the safety aspect of it, but you're going to learn how to handle it with the grip. You're going to learn how to sight it. You're going to learn how to shoot it. You're going to learn the stance, proper basic stances. We actually go to the range and we shoot on the first day. You use my guns. We just use 22s. And you learn how to clean them. So you'll be cleaning, and you learn about opportunities for future training, either with us or somewhere else, and all that the NRA offers. So that's a really quick rundown. But
Future training, would that be more intensive then? Would that be the story?
yeah, I often refer to as the basic pistol class as the kindergarten of firearms, sort of. And so as you move on and you learn new techniques and skills, and the basic pistol class really, which we use for the day one of our concealed carry, is that foundation that you can build on to grow.
Well, I know it's controversial, no doubt about it, but I feel personally very strongly that we have the right, just even though the Constitution says it. You know what happened in Germany in the 30s? They confiscated all the guns. There were no guns in any houses. That was step one, and then it escalated from that. So I'm not propounding that everybody, put barricades in the streets or anything like that, but it's a very serious matter, our own protection. As I said before, at the risk of being ad nausea, the gun control laws are out there, and the people that want guns to do bad things with them, they couldn't care less about gun control laws.
No, they
So
couldn't.
therefore, what you're trying to do is teach Joe and Josephine Citizen how to be sensible
Responsible.
in the use and ownership of firearms.
Absolutely. And making, the law-abiding citizen like you and me helpless doesn't make the bad guy harmless, because a bad guy is going to have the gun, whether they bought it, whether they stole it, or they made it in their garage, because it happens every day.
What age, you were talking about the NRA basic pistol course being kind of like the kindergarten of learning about a firearm. What grade or age kids do you have in your class? What's the lowest you've encountered so far?
Well, to be able to sit still for a full 8-hour day, somebody should probably be around 12, 13, because they'll get distracted easily. It is a long day.
Even I do. Bright shiny objects just take me away.
I lectured her every day.
Once we get the range finished in Atlanta, we do hope to offer some youth shooting events for them where they come in and get some training. Hopefully we can get those sponsored so that training could be free.
Well, lots of dads, I don't know lots of, but fathers will take a little boy hunting when it's squirrel season.
Yep.
Or something like that. So really they should.
There is the hunter safety course that through the Department of Natural Resources is out there.
That's right.
So that's actually a requirement for children that want to hunt, now. I'm old enough that I didn't have to take that.
Oh, it's a new thing.
It's, well, newer than when I was a kid, but it's not really new anymore.
Age is such a relative thing anymore. Bill and I were talking about that.
Yes. Well, I went to the Cato Institute think tank, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about guns. I find out now this is a little old. It's 2006, but I think it would percentages would still be probably the same here in 2014.
Okay.
42% of households own firearms. Individuals, 30%. You'd be surprised that females are 13% as opposed to 47% for males that own guns.
And it's
And you're
actually
seeing more of that now.
the female demographic is actually growing rapidly within the firearms industry. You're finding more and more women getting involved, taking the training, and really enjoying a day at the range. And that's fun for me to watch because I've always enjoyed it. So that's an interest that my husband and I share. And so I've had ladies come to my class, and I always ask why they're there, because if they come in and they say, well, because I'm mad at somebody and I want to be able, then I'll excuse them from my class. I've never had that happen, but I do kind of have a purpose for asking
it's
people
possible.
why they're there. But one lady one day told me that, well, my husband really wanted to do this, and her husband's sister and niece and his secretary and everybody else was in the class, so she kind of had to come. Well, now she enjoys
She was a
shooting
groupie.
so much. She started the day not wanting to be there, but she enjoyed the class and learned so much that day. Went out shooting the very next day, and every weekend says, when are we going to the range? So, there's a husband that is thrilled because he's an avid gun enthusiast, and so now that's something that they together enjoy. So that's a lot of fun for me to see those kinds of things happen.
Well, speaking of statistics, statistically, crime is on the rise, right?
It is, yes.
So I can understand that more women and certainly more men would avail themselves of a firearm.
Absolutely.
Especially in a big city. If I were in Chicago, man, I'd want a baseball bat and a gun, I think.
Well, and there's so many people who haven't been exposed to firearms throughout their life that say they're scared of them. And I understand that because they can be scary, but that's why education is so important to me, because I feel like if you come and you learn how to properly handle it and how it works and functions, then you're going to be able to properly use it if you ever need to. And it's far less scary because it's actually just an inanimate object that only is going to do something if somebody does, pulls the trigger or picks it up and does whatever. So there are some basic safety rules that if you follow, nobody's going to get hurt.
Well, it's kind of like your car. That's a deadly instrument if you don't be careful with
Absolutely.
it.
And as we saw in Boston, the pressure cooker was a deadly instrument,
Yes,
right?
yeah. But we haven't outlawed pressure cookers, have we?
No, we haven't. No, we
If,
have not.
What is your choice for a weapon of choice for a handgun?
Oh, I have to pick just one. I love my.
When you hit the street with carry,
I have a full-size 1911 45 caliber that I love.
well, that ought to get your attention. 45.
That'd be like a cowboy gun, wouldn't it?
No, it's a semi-automatic. I do have some revolvers too, but the 1911 was a government issued.
Are you talking about a year or a model?
Well, both.
Oh.
As is the history.
I had an interesting firearms experience on the range eons ago in the military. A guy's Thompson 45 malfired on him, and he turned and looked for the instructor, and the next thing I know, I'm looking right down the barrel of the 45, and I dropped to the ground, and I think he's still doing KP today.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and that's the kind of incident that makes safety so important to us, is why we have never more than 2 students per 1 instructor, so that we can watch the students, because it could be somebody that is experienced and they have some kind of malfunction that they're not accustomed to, and it just seems like they forget everything they were thinking about. all their training is gone because suddenly they don't know what happened or what's going on. And so we instructors keep a close eye on everybody to make sure everyone stays safe.
Hence, starting with the kindergarten courses and moving on up so that it becomes second nature to you, and you don't turn to Bill with your gun in your hand pointing yourself and it at him
Right.
and say, I think I've got a problem here.
Right. Right.
We have a neighbor, a good friend, Jim Grimaldi, as you know, who's quite interested in this.
Oh, yes.
And he has worked with you up here in some manner, has he not?
He did. We offered a free concealed carry question and answer up at our place. Yes.
Yeah. We're going to get Jim on this down the road on this same subject after it kind of has a chance to settle in a little bit. And he's quite interested in firearms as well as barbecuing.
Snow blowing.
Snow blowing. He's also very good at that in the neighborhood. I love him. Thank you for that, Jim. Is there a preference? I'm so naive about this carrying because I've had guns forever, but I just use them to hunt, and the pistols I've just had away as souvenirs and so forth. Is there a suggested place to carry on this concealed carry, like in the middle of your back or on your hip?
Oh my goodness, people are made so differently. What might be right for me as somebody with more curves may not be right for somebody else whose curves maybe go out instead of in, if you know what I'm saying.
I heard about those things. Jim, I knew as a younger fellow, I remember learning about curves.
That was very delicate.
So, you know,
What did he find those?
the way that I'm made, I'm able to conceal that full-size 1911 in the back of my waistband. I can do that. But I have people who have more of a barrel-type body who that is absolutely uncomfortable for them and it won't work for them. So they may have to do something on the outside of their waistband on their hip. There's also the controversial kind of purse carry. And it's controversial because it's in your purse, it's not on your body. So if you put it down, is it more easily stolen? Do you have as good of access in it? And we could go on. So there is that option too. I have a student who wears coveralls who said that he will be carrying in a fanny pack. So he had a fanny pack made specifically with a little Velcro holster in it to carry his gun. So,
You know, it's kind of, I'm sitting here thinking, Judith and James, we're here in Lincoln, Logan County, and we're talking about concealed carry of firearms. Well, who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, really.
isn't it great?
However, you know, we have to recognize that this is a part of life today.
It is.
And I don't say there are very, very few people walking the streets in Logan County that are carrying a gun.
Right.
I mean, very few, minimal.
Did your dad and your uncles and your brothers were they all hunters?
Absolutely, yes.
So when they would take you and others out hunting then, did they constantly, not nag you, but did they constantly remind you about safety procedures?
Safety was absolutely upmost, first and foremost, always. When I was a kid growing up, yes.
Well, that's
But
good.
my mom was a hunter, too.
Was she? My mother-in-law is a heck of a hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father-in-law wasn't too into it, but boy, she had some nice guns. She
Yeah.
used to show them to my brother, and he'd be impressed. They had that in common, and she'd hide them.
She was a woman. She was a woman before her time.
Oh gosh,
No
yes.
question about that.
My mom doesn't hunt so much anymore, but she does still keep a 6-shooter in her pie safe just in case.
In her pie safe, in case somebody comes after the pies,
In
I
case
guess.
somebody comes in the house, if they have an intruder that intends
This
to do
is
some harm.
a fledgling operation for you. Have you had, even at this early stage, have you had anything unusual or humorous come up in your beginning of Pistol Prep Academy?
Well, we laugh a lot, so there's a lot of humorous
Well, that's not a
things.
bad thing.
Yeah, that's
so.
a good thing.
We actually have a lot of fun. It's very serious, and we do focus on safety, but we do it while we're having a lot of fun. I can't think of anything specifically that's happened that's overly humorous.
I think we should ask, too, if Judith and I wanted to come up for a series of instructions, is it an ongoing series that last a month or 2 months or 3 months, and how much would it cost us?
I just have periodic course offerings because concealed carry is such a hot topic right now that I have more of those courses scheduled, but I just periodically kind of schedule everything. A person can come and take the basic pistol class without taking the concealed carry. Not everybody wants to concealed carry. Not everybody's interested in that, and I recognize and respect that, but they may have guns in their home and want to be able to safely handle them, and so they could just take the basic pistol class. And then if they want to grow their skills, then maybe they come and take the personal protection in the home, and you do have to take the personal protection in the home before you can take the outside the home. That's actually an NRA requirement because we build on what you learn in the home.
What's the difference between taking the course, the basic course, and taking the course for concealed carry? How does the coursework vary?
The basic pistol class is our first day for concealed carry, and so that curriculum is the same. But if they are taking the 2-day concealed carry class, then on day 2, we do a bit of a review on the gun handling and safety. We teach them how to safely draw from a holster. We talk about now that you've made the decision that you want to concealed carry, what are some things that you need to think about? Because your life changes. You have to constantly think about that gun is on you. Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you wearing? How are you being safe with it? I know some people who have already received their license who have caught themselves walking outside of their place of business with their jacket off because they forgot they had their gun, and they were like, whoa, and had to turn around and go back inside because they forgot. And so now that it's being applied, people are realizing what a difference that makes in one's life.
Do you have any people coming to you who would be people like me, who've never held a
No,
gun?
nobody's going to have
Yes.
people like you.
They wouldn't allow them.
I absolutely have. Mhm.
Have you?
Yes, people who've never held a gun before. And if they, they'll take the day 1 class, they'll take the concealed carry class, but again, we stress to them, please don't just take this class and go home and put your gun away and think that you can safely conceal carry whenever you want to after this. You have got to continue to practice, and that's one of the reasons that we want to offer these shooting clinics. Not everybody has time or wants to take a full 8 or 10 hour class, but if we can do these a couple hours in the evening where you come out and shoot, you're having some fun, but you're also hopefully going to take away maybe a new skill, or you're going to hone a skill that you've already learned.
Be reminded of the safety.
Absolutely.
Owning a firearm is a serious matter. That there are lots of closets in Logan County, I'm certain, that have firearms stashed away. That in and of itself is not a bad thing, but if there are youngsters in the house,
Yes.
that's where it becomes truly critical, and you must be certain that they cannot be picked up
Yes.
by youngsters.
Very much so. Or anyone else that's unauthorized to have them. You think about maybe you have, somebody who has a less than stellar background in your family and you're having a family gathering. Do you want to make sure that you have that put away so that person can't pick up your firearm? We all have those dark people in our families.
When you were
We all have that one or two.
When you were mentioning the concealed carry and coming out of work with your jacket off because it's a balmy day, is it part of the law that it has to be concealed?
Yes.
Would that be why you'd be worried if you forgot to put your jacket on?
Yes, it is a concealed carry law, not an open carry law.
Does any state have an open carry?
There are some states that have open carry, yes.
Huh. Well, there you go, Bill.
I'm not going to try at this age to pack one now. I had a good time owning and shooting and hunting. Those days are gone. Oh, we have a call right now here before we sign off here. Go right ahead, please, caller.
Yeah, I may have missed this. I had some things to do, but
When you do the shooting and the training, do you bring, I mean, I know you bring your own gun, but does it matter what you bring and the ammo and everything?
Okay, you go ahead, Annette.
Yeah, we ask that you can bring anything from a 22 caliber up to a 45, but we really don't want 50 caliber handguns on our range. And you can bring the judge, the pistol, but you can't use the 410 shotgun shells to qualify.
Okay.
But other than that, pretty much, as long as it's in good working order, we do prefer factory-loaded rounds rather than home reloads.
Right. Okay, I was curious because I have several and I didn't know what you would prefer.
Yeah, whatever you're the most comfortable with. We do ask you to bring a strong side holster.
Right.
So whatever you might have a holster for and you're comfortable using is fine.
Okay, well, my judge is a little bit to conceal, but it's a long barrel and it's kind of hard to hide, but anyway.
Right.
All right.
Thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank
that
you.
call.
Thank you.
Well, and that we've run the clock up to 9 o'clock, and that's kind of too bad because we had some other things we wanted to cover. It was a little bit difficult to find comments or closing comments about gun ownership and so forth. I did find one that is facetious in nature, but beyond the facetiousness of it, there's a thought to ponder, and it simply said that America will never be invaded. Its juvenile delinquents are too well armed. Well, I would suggest it goes beyond juvenile delinquents, folks.
Absolutely.
Annette Chapman, thank you very much. We wish you
Thank you so
success on
much.
your Pistol Prep Academy. Over and above the fact that it's a business for you, my take on that would be it's also a service to gun owners in Logan County. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was fun.